Yo, what is up, YouTube? The name is Taken Heat, back at it again with another car vlog. This time to talk about every car can be made into a race car. And this is something that I've actually had on my mind for quite a long time because I'm always being surrounded by friends or just random people who are into cars but own vehicles that aren't so mainstream in the car scene, and it always sets them off because they're always like, oh, I wish I can, mod my car, but to be honest, it's just this car, and maybe it's just not worth it. And I'll use the Scion TC for example, because a good amount of my friends and people who I've been surrounded by own Scion TCs, and that's a very common thing that they like to say is, oh my gosh, I would love to start modding, but I just own a Scion TC, so there's no point. And I feel like that's pretty much like the internet's fault, because again, we all know the mainstream kind of cars, the FRS, the Genesis, the Evo, the Subarus. All those are mainstream cars. Majority of them pretty fast. I say majority of them because when it comes to the FRS, even though it is a good car, a lot of people who have actually driven it always say like it would be so much better if it was boosted. So that's a little iffy. That's like on the lowest level of you just hit the okay car, I guess. I don't know. But to all the TC owners and to anybody really who is always in that mindset of, I would love to start modding, but my car's not even worth it, I always look at them like, don't have that mindset. Literally, any car can be a fast car. Or if speed isn't your case, maybe it's just for the track, any car can be made into a track car. You just gotta have the money to do it. And for some people, it's just like, well, see, that's just it. It's, I don't have the money to do it. But it's like, then you shouldn't even go into the mindset of, I want to mod my car if money is such an issue, because every car that you see, whether it's on social media or just like in person, most likely people have dumped thousands upon thousands, going to the 10,000s of dollars into making that car. These cars aren't just stock. They don't just have bolt-ons. No, people have turboed their cars, whether it was an NA to a turbo, or people just went from the stock turbo to a bigger one. People have rebuilt the engine. People have put money in their suspension and a whole bunch of other stuff that I still don't even like have familiarity with. So it's like all those people are just like, oh, but my car's just, and I'm, to all the TC owners out there, I'm just using it just because a lot of my friends have them. But to those who are just like, oh, but I just have like a Scion TC, it's not even worth it. It's like, to me, that gives me the even more motivation to mod it, because when you finally get it to where you want it to be, so even if you just boost the car already, if it works, you are such an underdog and you're such a sleeper that you can shit on so many people who underestimate you. And that's probably like the best feeling ever, for anybody to just look at your car and be like, oh, it's just a TC, what can it do? And then all of a sudden you two gun it, and your car, which, even though yes, you put a good amount of money in it, you were still able to shit stomp them, and all of a sudden you get that respect. You're like, oh, that's a fast TC. I like what you did. You actually took time into actually doing something to this underrated car. Good on you. And I really like that. I've always been on this side for a while that I really find the car scene nowadays like kind of boring, because again, everybody just wants to go to the mainstream vehicles because there are plenty of builds on it, plenty of manufacturers support it. So, you know, that's just the go-to cars for a lot of people. And it makes sense. You know, even me, I would love to own one of the mainstream cars. For me right now, I would love to own an Evo 10 or Evo 8 or 9. Alright, sorry about that. That was my job calling me, asking where I am. I'm still going to be there on time, but they're just wondering where I am because there are deliveries that need to be taken. And I am a delivery driver, so that's what my job is. Anyways, back to what I was talking about before I got really interrupted. To the mainstream cars, there you go. I had to catch myself back up again. But to like the mainstream cars, like I always found the car scene nowadays boring because anytime I'm on social media or on YouTube, you know, oh, somebody else just bought another Miata. Oh, someone else just bought another WRX STI. You know, everything's just like so mainstream. Everyone's just repeating the same builds, and I always just try to look out for, you know, who's doing something different. And I feel like that's where the car scene needs to go now. The car scene needs to, you know, be more diverse, because again, right now everyone's just going the mainstream route because it's already been done before. So there are plenty of builds that you can go off of, and there are like a lot of manufacturers that support it. But I feel like if we probably went to some, you know, less mainstream cars, probably more manufacturers would be like, oh, this is starting to get more attention. Let's try to be, you know, one of the very few that actually makes it, so a lot more of our products can get sold. And that's actually a pretty good business strategy. Look at Road Race Motorsports. I own a Lancer Rally Art, and it's very hard for me to find anybody who supports it. And then I found Road Race Motorsport, so a lot of my money is going to them because they actually have stuff that support it. And even though, yes, my Lancer, I do not consider it fast whatsoever. Anybody who tries to come at me and say like, oh, that must be a quick little car, I'm like, nah, it's still pretty much stock and it's not that fast. Like, but at the same time, that doesn't disappoint me. I still really love my car. And I think that's the overall thing, is that a lot of people are in the mindset of, I have to have this 500 horsepower car, or my car has to be a Lambo Slayer. When in reality, it's just like, just do it just to build a connection to your car, and do it because you love your car. Like, you bought it, that should mean something. Like, you shouldn't just buy a car and just be like the whole time, I fucking hate this car, fuck this car, I wish you were so much better. Like, if you wanted to be faster, make it faster. You don't just buy a car with the mindset of, I can't wait to get this other car. No, if you bought that car, clearly there was a reason for it. If you bought it because you liked it, then show it some love. You know, it's something that I just never understood. But in the end, again, going back to the topic of any car could be a race car, again, most cars out here, stock out the factory, isn't impressive. Unless you buy a supercar or somewhere borderline supercars, every car is technically considered a slow car. It's just once you dump in money into it, that actually becomes something. And there are always people who are always like, oh, why would I dump in, like, say 10 grand into a car that's worth 5 grand when I could just dump, you know, 5 grand into a $25 car, a $25,000 car, and have a car that's so much faster. It's like, well, there's a possible chance that dumping 10 grand into the 5 grand car might put it maybe not as fast, but just fast enough to keep up with that car, and you would have spent 10 grand less. You save money. So I've always had that mindset of people who assume that, oh, there's no point in me dumping any money into this when I could just dump twice the amount into this other car, and it's so much faster out of the dealer. To me, it's just like, well, you kind of defeated your purpose in saving money because you just dumped, again, twice what you could have dumped into that car plus what that car is worth into this other car, and sometimes it won't even be that much faster. This now is just a ramble on. I'll probably continue this in a later on video because there's way more that I can talk about in this little rant discussion, but I'm nearing work and they need me real quick, so see you next time. Let me know what you guys think about the mindset of any car can be a race car. I do know that like a lot of people do like to downplay some vehicles, saying, oh, that engine is not a good engine to build off of, which to me in that sense is like then just engine swap. If anything, like for a lot of Hondas, you know, a lot of people like to downplay the D series, even though I've seen some like boosted D series still shit stomp other vehicles. But it's just like, oh, if you have like a D series, then just engine swap it for a B series or a K series. You know, a lot of times it'll come to where, oh, that engine's just not worth modding. That might be because it's just the base model, so maybe just engine swap it to the more sportier engine model for that car, or maybe just get that model, or just boost it and then show everybody that, ha, you were wrong and I still shit stomped you. So sorry for my language, by the way, but this is pretty much a thought that's been going on in my mind for quite a while. So again, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Till next time, this has been your boy taking heat, and I'm out. Peace.